Thank you so much for joining us today, Anthony Kevin. So today we going to proceed of EB1A and EB2 NIW, which is my client who join us today. They are interesting to learn more about the process.
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through fine, and I can everybody see me now?
I think so. I think so.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, great. Yeah, my name's Kevin Stewart. I'm an immigration attorney in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. I've been an attorney for over 20 years, practicing immigration law exclusively for the last 10 years or so. And I have mainly done and focus on family naturalization, and now really do a lot of talent visas, and that would be what we're talking about today, EB1A and also EB2 NIW, and then there are several other visa types that we handle, but that's what we'll be talking about today.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you joining us today. And so today we want to talk to you about, the two classified EB1A and EB2 and IW, which is most of our clients who ask a lot of answer right here is like PhD student and also master degree student who study in the US or either of another country like UK want to plan their career path and also plan their immigration path to to work with their professional degree in the US. So first of case that we're talking about is EB1A, which is we have one case with working with you right now. So I just want to ask because some people come to us, they say they have master degree, they have PhD, but they just want to know how do they know with assessment they should do to make sure that they qualify for EB1A or EB2 NIW, or what is your perspective right now with the US immigration policy? What we if today I am like first year of PhD student, what should I prepare myself? What going to be like in the future year that I going to apply EB1A or EB2 and IW, what portfolio I should have?
Sure. Yeah. So the thing that we hear most from people is that, oh, they say I can't qualify for this because it's for Einsteins or it's for Nobel Prize winners or something like that, and that's really not true. And this is now we'll start talking about EB1A. It is an extraordinary ability category, so that does mean that there is a higher standard. But if you had a Nobel or if you had another major award, you would really qualify. I mean, at that level. So you wouldn't have to build a profile if you had that now. So most people don't have that. It's
Yes,
also
right.
not really the case that you have to have all of the criteria covered. We won't even go through all of the criteria today, but we'll touch on most of them. There are ways that you can add, just to give you examples, um, having published work is one example of a profile building criterion. You can publish works through your time in school. You can publish in all kinds of different ways. It doesn't have to be an academic publication, just as an example.
Yes, thank you for sharing that side of view. So I have here one of our cases we've been working together, which is most of the time when I got question asking from EB1A, right now I'm working on some sports, some athletes, like, profile that you been in touch before. Some of my clients from Thailand is, national team tennis player, soccer player, which is in Thailand we call football. So all of the time I see the problem that we have right here is that they don't have any work experience in the US before, which is
Hmm.
EB1A would fit their criteria because they doesn't need any, sponsor or anything, right? To sponsor the green card. But the thing
Yeah.
is, the publication that they have Wikipedia profile. Like one of our tennis player also have a very strong profile on Wikipedia profile that have been created, and then some local people give her, edit her profile a lot, or also sport reporter. And
Hmm.
also another case is like soccer player, but which is all of them most likely work for national team in Thailand, just something like that, and also got traded to play in another country time to time until COVID-19 it is. So that's kind of like make really bad decision and really bad for everyone who were in sport at that time. Like they can't leave the country to go play international, which is make them feel like they lack of international recognition. What do you think
Hmm.
about that?
Yeah, so what we do is we fill in on the categories, I mean the criteria of focused on the offer. So an offer of employment is it doesn't have to be a job per se. In other words, it's really just an offer to hire the person to do coaching or to do teaching or and at a relatively high salary. So it's you kind of show that's one way of proving the level of recognition that the person has, and this is for athletes particularly. But it also high earner is also something that would apply to science or technical as well.
Yes, for high salary, that is another problem with that I have consult with you and your legal team before. When we work from another country, which is we not in the US for any type of visa like J or O1 CPT or anything, but we want to start straight because we know that our client have really strong profile that have publication, have everything. But the thing is when you look back on their salary in that local currency
Oh,
exchange,
sure. Yeah.
which is when we're looking for EB1A, we're looking for something like 180 grand until 220 grand a year as the high salary that we set up to make sure that we prove USCIS that hey, this person have high salary, can be like, soccer player in the US, can go with any agency of sport, can go to teach as a soccer player. But the thing is, most of people that we talk about, they don't have those salary back in the day in their home country, because when you're looking back on their um yearly salary in the currency exchange. So we could not, one of my question is always like, how did we prove that they are high salary? Because we compare with that local salary in that time, we did not be able to compare with the US salary, but they never have experience working in the US before. Plus, even they got bought to play soccer in Japan, the salary is still not like, over than 180 grand a year, just some stuff like that. So did you have any point of view about it? Give us some opinion that what we can prove as a high salary as well.
Yeah, I mean, so it has to be comparable. In other words, you would have to show, you present evidence of what a high salary in that market is.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you need both, right? In other
Yes,
words,
right.
you have to have evidence that the salary that they were getting was high in the market that they were playing in or operating in.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
then you have to have an example of, well, this is the salary that they can command in the US once they get here. So yeah,
Yes.
it's like anything else. You have to make a persuasive argument that their salary was high. I mean, even for the US, you have to show. I mean, you have to establish that 180 to 220 range, let's say, is accurate.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the reality. It's like if it's a woman basketball player, for example,
Mm-hmm.
her high salary is not going to be like college male or NBA. I mean,
Yes,
that's
right.
just the reality. So.
Yes. So I have one of my master degree student here. Her name is Dinara. So you look on case profile of her before she from Kazakhstan.
Hmm.
So I know that she have strong profile, work with the government, in terms of
Hmm.
international uh representation or everything. But the thing is, like that case when we talk about, recognition, international, go back to that again. So if some person doesn't have any international work experience in their profile before, what should they do to improve that profile?
Yeah, I mean, so in a situation like that, I don't think the focus there would be additional work experience. I think it would be publications, which you can always, you know, I don't want to say pay for. It's
No.
you can place publications. I mean, everyone does this. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Hmm.
you basically what you're doing is you're presenting your work in your field, and
Hmm.
you can do that on an international basis, and that's helpful. That's helpful for most people who are in, science or technology or other fields, not so much athletics now. And then the other thing you can do is you can participate in things like conferences and just things that show that you have used your skills more than just in your national area. I mean, those are the two types of things
Hmm.
that you would do with a profile like that.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to our presentation a little bit so people can see the criteria that we are talking about a little bit. So here I mainly focus on this is what's in even EB1A case that we're working on right now. So we are talking about national or international prize or awards and also membership in associates. So I want you to explain this to us a little bit about the membership because I think if some people don't have international or prize or award really strong, evident they still can use this, as a good supporting as evidence as well. So can you explain us a little bit about the membership?
Yeah, sure. And membership is one that you can kind of check off the list. Give you an example. Many engineers, software engineers as an example, they're IEEE members, and that's a widely recognized association. There are levels to the membership, and what you want to do is, if you can, you want to attain the highest level that you can because that would set you apart from other applicants. So that's, membership. What you want to do is you want to find, in your field,
Mm-hmm.
what are the associations? And almost every field or specialty has an association out there that you can
Mm-hmm.
join. And just to be able to say that you're a member, it helps your profile. I would say membership in associations is not one of the strongest things, but it's certainly something that you should
You
have.
can use. Yes, right.
Mhm.
So you think it's like some people are told me like they have to have someone give the reference letter, at least 2 or 3 person to join that membership. So I think that could be something that we can looking on if you have like very specific timeline, at least like you almost finish your PhD degree and you have like 3 months left. So maybe this is the first of thing that you should working on. Do you think that's possible
Oh,
for
sure.
3 month
Yeah. And
timeline?
yeah, and any of these criteria that you can work on. I mean, often, let's say you're a TA, you're a teaching assistant, judging the work of others is a natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
Publications are also a kind of a natural thing when you're in a graduate level experience in school. That's
Mm-hmm.
something, but I think the idea is think beyond publishing in a journal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Think of ways that you can get something published in a trade journal, or something that takes you outside of the academic realm,
Mm-hmm.
because what that shows is that you're contributing in your area of expertise in a lead and critical role. I mean, these are all sort of specialized terminology that when we get into these, especially extraordinary ability for EB1A, they want to see that you're doing groundbreaking work, not just that you're doing, you know, typical work, but you're very good.
Yes.
Like it's not like getting good job reviews. This
Uh-huh.
is the idea that people should have. So
Yes.
that's the idea.
Yes, I mean, I aware confused with juggling work with order, but I feel like maybe it depends on occupation that they're working on
Yes,
right now at this
it does.
moment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be exact the same with any occupation. And then I will skip to this page because I think like already talked to high salary. And
Mhm.
another thing I love to focus on like display of work and artistic or showcase. Like I include like, when someone in artists have or software engineer have their own like demo. So I
Mhm.
include that as well. If they like would say like they develop some application,
Oh,
to,
sure.
yeah, and then they have some demo day or demo, to show even online or webinar or in the person conference that would be the case as well. So I think, all engineers, software engineers, students should look on this profile as well, even they are have presentation in their college or university, or they update their research to the Google Scholar. That would be really good and strong evidence as well, right? And then, do you have anything to add on about display, offer, or anything like this?
Yeah, so if we're looking at artists, particularly, you want to make sure that you have a strong portfolio. Obviously, it's good to have agency contracts, something that shows either that you are in demand for your artistic ability, or just evidence to support that. Just maybe if you have some commercial success, not so much for students, but if it's artistic,
Yes,
that's
right.
always helpful. If
Yeah.
you've appeared, say you're an actor, you've appeared on television, or obviously something like that is good.
Yet I have one student come to us. We really confused what we're gonna put him on between O1B or EB1A because he been like intern during the OPT with a lot of really great company in designer. The
Hmm.
company itself is really well known. At the time he was OPT, they tried to ask him to do J1 or sponsor O1 for him. But at the time J1, you have to go back to our home country to apply J1 and interview and come back here. So he didn't do that and go back to take master degree instead. And I surprised because I went back to ask him, hey, if you have high salary or at least can show your job offer with the previous employer that you do OPT, could use that to apply your O1B or either EB1A or something like that. But he said, you know what, Elizabeth, I don't take any salary. It's a
Yeah.
lot of it's a lot of competition for
Yeah,
OPTs.
that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
and also in some of these fields, that's how you rise through as an artistic
You get
person.
famous first.
Yeah, you don't get paid. I mean,
Yeah.
until you're at the very top level. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
very common.
true. But I mean, I would like try to imagine because I never been student OPT before. Why did they do that? How did they make living while doing OPT without getting paid? But I imagine
Yeah.
like at the time it's probably competition with a lot of students in the same field, and everyone want to get in the best company to get like to do their best to get a really good work experience in their profile. So
Yeah.
that's why they're doing that. But yeah, back in the day, maybe a couple weeks ago, I have some immigration attorney. I forgot, maybe I'll list it again. She asking, do you know how much? She asking people on LinkedIn that you know how much OPT get pay or CPT get pay. But I know the answer of that. We can find anywhere in Glossier or on a Indeed.
I think it's minimum wage
Yeah,
is,
it's very
you know?
minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I never understand why the country try to not hiring OPT or H1B or stuff like that because I feel like they are really good worker. They are immigrant, but they try to finish the job and then they kind of learn how to, how to survive in this immigration pattern.
Hmm.
They need to gain a lot of experience in terms of build their profile, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what's going on now is it's political. It
Hmm.
isn't, and I don't think it's going to last at all
I hope
because
so.
no, it's so important that, and when you look at what international students and entrepreneurs, I mean, we haven't really talked much about it yet, but when you look at what international students and then entrepreneurs contribute to this economy, what I think they just showed recently of the top 10 companies, I think in
Yes,
the
right.
world, it's like half of them or more are, the heads of those companies were international students and entrepreneurs in the US. I mean, it makes no sense to
Yes, I realize that I've been
shut that
talking to
down.
a lot of people who are CEO and founder for the top company that I have seen, Instacart, IBM. There are immigrant founder, immigrant CEO as well. Like
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
yeah. So I just like this is why we having this webinar to telling people that there are other way you can go around to, to get yourself or as a CEO or founder or from software engineer or even like artist to get to see what you can do with your career path on compared with the immigration path here right
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And as you know, and what we deal with all the time is that you have two paths. You have the non-immigrant path, which you
Yes,
have
right.
to maintain, and that's the most difficult part. Is
Yes, right.
Yeah, I mean it's the most difficult, preliminary part, right?
Yes.
The rest of if you can get EB1A, then you in most cases you can just, go straight to I-485 and a green card. But the whole problem is if you're, let's say, EB2 NIW, you're waiting at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Then the whole question is, what do I do if I need to stay in the US? And then there's the other factor, which is that some people they don't realize, you don't have to be in the US to apply EB1A or EB2 NIW. I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of students who are here and who've been here for so long and they've been OPT, H1B, OPT, they assume, well, I have to stay or I have to keep working in the same field. You don't necessarily. If you're here in the U.S., you do.
Yeah.
But if you have to, you can leave the U.S. You could apply from outside the U.S.
Yes, I have those kind of client that I told you last couple of days ago that I have A 1A tennis player who
Hmm.
been in a 20 some year experience work as tennis player, but she have been retired as a player, but she did have some practice as like, teaching another kid, like, young kid for tennis. So she just got approved from consulate, Thai consulate last
Oh,
week. So
great.
so I always feel like maybe the student feel the same thing. Maybe they apply outside the US will be more difficult. With it consular or say for skilled worker it's more difficult. For myself, I back in the day I come with between skills, so I feel like oh when I come with L1B because L1B is just non-immigrant one, it's not necessarily important difficult at all. It's just like everything fast 1 month the company already sent FedEx box to my table and then we moved my stuff to here in the US. But in terms of green card, when I go back to apply in my country, I feel like I make the mistake leaving the country because
Yeah, it's well, and
depend on
then
the consulate. Yeah.
the thing is, right now, it's very hard to predict which countries are going to be on the bad list,
Yes, right.
or with Department of State, the whole issue now is that they're not staffing adequately, and
Yeah.
interview times, our interview scheduling is backing up again, so that becomes an issue. So yeah.
Yes, right. Okay, I gonna move forward to EB2 and IW a little bit because some people here want to see an option if they can do EB2 and IW as well. So for EB2 and IW, yeah, I only have a few case background. I working on one ChatGPT DNA, and this one is not submit to anyone. Yes, I just try to, he are maritime science, graduate from Thai Navy School, and also have bachelor degree in maritime, like and work more than 6 years, 7 years. But we try to put together his file because he want to do AI maritime logistic and did not have stakeholder in the US yet, but we working on the case. So it not submit to anyone, just my idea to see what he have in his profile because we have to do the we have to tell we have to tell him that if he do this, there are gonna be a long period of waiting compared with EB1A. So I want you to go through like national important and sustain merit for us a little bit. Can you explain that for us so some people
Yeah,
doesn't know anything here?
yeah. EB2 NIW, the NIW National Interest Waiver part. So this program is basically a way to get around the perm process and also
Yeah.
allow for self-petition.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, you can have a company sponsor, but it kind of doesn't make any sense.
Yes,
Um,
right.
the whole idea is, does this person demonstrate, and this is not extraordinary ability, this is exceptional
Yes, right.
ability. So you want to keep those two separate. So the exceptional ability, the standard, it's not so much that it's lower, it's that it's different. In national interest waiver, there is this case. Once you start looking into NIW, you'll learn about the matter of Danisar case, uh,
Uh-huh.
which has what they call three prongs.
T-prong, yes, right.
And so this three-prong analysis, I actually don't have it in front of me right now, but what it does is it kind of forces the petitioner, the self-petitioner, to focus on how their work, what they call your endeavor, how their work in the U.S., their prospective work in the U.S. will contribute to the national interest.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to show through evidence that you are, again, I mentioned these before, but you're doing original work in a lead or critical role,
Mm-hmm.
and that work, not so much your job, it's very technical in this way,
Mm-hmm.
but that the work that you are doing and that you propose to do will promote and advance the national interest. So it's a bit different from EB1A, where with
Mm-hmm.
EB1A you really are focused more on how are you a star? What makes
Mm-hmm.
you a star and provide
Yes,
evidence
right.
for that, right?
Yeah.
For NIW, your evidence has to really be tailored to what the national interest aspect of your work is and how you'll promote
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And so what is make strong case of EB2 and IW? I once time like fixed some of my client I've EBDT submit to another law firm before, but all the contractor that are stakeholder that she have in the US, we got our fee sent back like this is just only you employ someone. It's not you really build anything for the US.
No, exactly.
He Yeah, so that's why I started realize that hey, you need to come up with something to build in the US so it's gonna make case go through. They even ask for investor, the list of investor on the RFE like angel investor or VC of how did you get funding with your project or everything like that.
Yeah, well, and that goes to some of the best potential
Mm-hmm.
petitioners, self-petitioners. Some of the best potentials are entrepreneurs and actually inventors.
Mm-hmm.
If you have successfully launched a mobile app, as an example, I mean, we have one client that we got approved based on that entrepreneurial and technical experience that he had, and how that contributed. In his is in the healthcare area,
Mm-hmm.
how that contributed to the national interest. And I think if you have that as the core of what you're presenting, then you have a big advantage.
Okay. So that's what something I gonna note really good for my client these days because sometimes they think maybe they can employ someone and if their occupation is go to a national interest waiver. That's what they're thinking. They still can employ one and still can apply for EB2 and IW as well. But for me, I really have my own opinion that they should be building something that gonna
Yes.
impact US in the business or US economy or more like
Yeah.
impact.
Well, and I think it's kind of like the difference between like and
Yeah,
E2 or is it yeah is it E1 or I always get the E's.
EB1A. Yeah, yeah, right.
Well, no, not EB, but like in E where
Yeah,
it's
E2 investor
E2.
visa. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like that. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, there's actually no consideration of whether you're going to contribute to creating jobs in national
Yes.
interest labor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that people have a misconception. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, or like EB5 kind of, right? I'm going
Yes,
to
right.
come to the US and I'm going to make more jobs. They don't care about that at all. What they care about is they care about what you, as the self-petitioner, are going to do to promote new technology in the national interest, advancements in technology or advancements in, it doesn't really even have to be technology, advancements in business, for
Mm-hmm.
example, in some way. I mean, there's a lot of AI. Part of the issue, I
Yeah.
think, right now with NIW is that they got inundated with AI stuff, and so now
Mm-hmm.
they're like too many software developers, too much AI. They're like,
Yeah.
we're not going to approve that. But the thing is, just if you can fashion it as a startup that is doing an original idea that this
Mm-hmm.
person's background supports, then that's it. That's good. But it takes, sometimes it's an exploration that takes some time to find what would do that. Also, they publish, so the Biden administration had theirs before up through January, and now the Trump administration has published, I think, a memo that explains what types of endeavor would be considered in the national interest. So it's always good
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes.
reference those.
Yes. Uh, One question here. What type of professional or contributor you see most successful in EB2 and IW? Like
Yeah,
the
well,
professional,
that's kind of what, oh, like sort of what fields?
yeah, what field that you see like often? Because
Yeah,
I talk to discuss to my team like Kanita here, like we went to ILA last month, right? So they say like the race of deny is come up a little bit. Usually we get like 90% after immigration attorney do assessment everything and submit the case to USA. It's for EB2 and IW going to approve at least 90%, and right now it's go down to 70%. It means that 30% is what's been
yeah.
denied.
No, I mean,
So
I think the last thing I saw was like 57%. I mean, it
57 already.
yeah,
Okay.
no, it's no, they're denying a lot of cases now.
Okay.
Now, the denials are not the end. I mean, you can fix a case after a denial. Some of the RFEs and denials are not legitimate. So, in some
Hmm.
cases, so you really, you just have to be ready for a fight. But to
Yes,
answer
right.
your question, so there are a few fields that are good. Healthcare is very good if you're talking about healthcare
Okay,
technology.
right. Okay. And okay.
So that's very good. Anything like energy related is also very good.
Energy. Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're a software developer
Software engineer still.
or software engineer, you're coming in at a big disadvantage.
Hmm.
So what
Hmm.
you have to do is you have to really focus on what makes you stand out. How the best thing is kind of what we were just talking about, building something. I mean, it could be a mobile app as an example, just
Hmm.
something that shows that you're involved in an application or
Okay.
in an application of technology.
Okay. And also, do you have any most memorable case that you have been working and you feel like, okay, this is a good case of between EB1A and EB2 and IW that you're working on, and then they get approved recently?
Yeah, those, I mean, I kind of touched on a couple, this year so far, a
Mm-hmm.
couple of cases. One, a healthcare app,
Mm-hmm.
um, developer. So not only did he develop the app, but he also was an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
who built it, and I believe he sold it too. And
Oh,
so that's usually fairly strong.
it's
Um,
already exists. This company
yes.
already
Yeah,
exists.
you sort of, yeah, the concept proved itself. The company was operating well. The other
Mm-hmm.
area, and this is one of the reasons I mentioned it, in the energy field, um, a sort of an expert in managing not just clean energy, because clean energy is sort of like, the current administration doesn't really care about clean energy. I
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
don't.
Exactly true.
So yeah, yeah, don't talk about windmills if
Yeah,
you want
he doesn't
if
like
you want to
it.
get he doesn't like windmills. But yeah, but the thing is, managing the energy grid and technology around that, that was another case that we recently were successful with. So, and my team has a lot of track record. I have a paralegal that has been specializing in these for years. I've been doing these for like the last year or two, but we're constantly upgrading our process and gaining more knowledge in what it is that USCIS is doing. And so yeah,
Yeah.
so far this year we're 100%. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. I like it. I mean, I know when I bring the case to you, just what is this people who on spot or everything, I just kind of confused like, oh, because I don't know about soccer myself, but your paralegal seem to know everything, and then he do a Olympic
Yeah.
person before, so I just
So
feel like
yeah,
grateful, so
because
grateful.
we were just talking yesterday, and she was saying, well, let me look at the regulations, and let me look at the case, and she's just very, very thorough. And
Yeah.
and this kind of just to sort of tie up what we've been talking about, you can understand the criteria well.
Hmm.
But where we come in is we understand what strong evidence is. Like, as one example, for both EB1A and EB2 NIW, you must have an evaluation, an independent evaluation of your skills. So we talk about reference letters. Those are
Hmm.
letters where people can attest to your ability or to the work that you've done. But one thing that you must have is you must have someone who is recognized in the field or has the experience. They have to submit an evaluation of your ability as well.
Hmm. Oh, I understand that. I mean, we've been working on the people who going to be our expert, writing our expert letter or reference for us all the time. I even like told my client like if that person have recognition in the public, like are they a CEO of some company, ex company who already like maybe a Series C startup or something, that would be great. Or even they have public profile like on Wikipedia as well, that would be great too in that field.
Yeah.
Like if you say you are a soccer player and you have another teammate or another coach from a national team from in that have profile on Wikipedia. So I think it will be easy for USCA to figure out who they are and how
Well,
they
that's
can,
important. Yeah, that's
yeah,
important. It has to be a recognized, well, it doesn't have to be like a famous person per se, but they
yeah,
have to show up as being recognized in their field already. And people are intimidated by this, but you'd be surprised when you reach out to these folks and ask them, would you look at my CV and would you talk about, my experience. They're flattered. They like doing them in many
yeah,
cases.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
I always told my student and also my client because they're afraid like, hey, if I shot the person that I meet in this panel in LinkedIn, are they going to say, oh no, I don't know you, I don't write the letter for you. But from my experience, I feel like they're willing to help, right?
yeah, they, yeah, they just, you just have to sometimes ask around.
Yes, right. Okay. And yeah, we're talking about the criteria of both of case, but here the thing is because I've been talking about the number of approved case and also denied case that have been coming up a little bit this year. Not a little bit, it's quite surprised me for EB2 and IW, because more I believe most of law firm do evaluation of the case really well before they submit the application, everything like that. And plus, they probably try to cross-check the supporting document that sent together with the petition. But here, have you noticed any change in the USCIS, trend of this year in the last 2 or 3 years that they are like, more deny less, why is more deny less, what kind of case they want to approve for EB1A and E2 and EB2 and IW?
So most of what we're seeing is with EB2 NIW, and there are a couple of reasons for it. One was there was a rush on EB2 NIW applications leading up to and after the election last year.
Mm,
People wanted to get
okay.
those cases filed. Um, like you were saying, with 90% approval rate, that was through 2024 up until that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already got kind of a rush on USCIS. They're a little bit overloaded. They, I think at that point, they start basically issuing these RFEs, which, so request for evidence, um, basically, in many cases, ignoring the submitted documentation, not citing the current case law. I mean, clearly going against the Danisar standard, going back to this New York
Mm-hmm.
DOT uh,
Mm-hmm.
case, a lot of confusion. But I think that
Mm-hmm.
was the initial reaction. And now what we're seeing is more detail in RFEs, but still issues where we don't know whether they just didn't read it or whether they have some prejudice. It can be some fields they have, like we were talking about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Software engineers, you may have an excellent profile. You just happen to be a software engineer, so
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to like it. They're not going to like you. So this kind of thing, it comes and goes. And I think generally with USCIS, you have to be prepared to fight. If you know that you have a good case,
Mm-hmm.
you have to in the RFE, and I'll say, just this is like the attorney approach. We don't like to like get snippy with USCIS in an RFE response, right? Because that's not going to help the client. It's like, well, you should have seen this. We submitted this, that kind of thing. But you're frustrated. You feel like you want to say something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But in these situations, it is actually important to actually point out to the officer that's seeing the RFE response, you know, this is in your RFE, you said X. Well, Y is what we submitted, and Z is the response which satisfies the standard. It's a lot of work, but what you're doing is you're basically picking apart what they have said in the RFE and overcoming it. So,
Yes,
and
that's true.
it's hard. And I should say also, you have to be careful when you file these cases because you do commit yourself. In the national interest waiver example, if you get an RFE, you can't go back to them and say, "Oh, well, we've changed. Our endeavor wasn't really what we said it was. This is really what it is," and trying to make it, better. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
they're not gonna allow that.
Yes, and then um I I have the question from one of my team here, but I try to leave it after this. I have one more question for myself. Like
Hmm.
I have those clients who are have the profile in with the border profile, like which is I wasn't sure is that good enough to do EB1A or we should down to O1A or something like that. But how you like, there are any creative legal or any strategy that you have used for your clients so far?
Well, yeah, and I was actually going to touch on that, so I'm glad you asked it that way.
Mm-hmm.
People look at so EB2 NIW, it's not as high a standard as EB1A, and that's really not correct. They're different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one is, I mean, EB1A, you would think of it, it's maybe something where the level of ability, the level that you have to stand out
Mm-hmm.
is you could say that that part is higher, but they both require specific evidence, and
Yes,
some
right.
cases, some EB1A cases are easier actually
Yes,
than
right.
EB2 NIW.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to always evaluate people for both and what would be better for them. And in some situations, I mean, basically right now with the way the adjudications are going, we really tend to push people to EB1A as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to EB2 NIW. The main thing is that it's longer time for your priority date to become current.
Yes.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
main thing. But also EB1A, we we feel that USCIS applies the standard at this point more fairly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see it. Oh, yeah, right. You're right. I agree with that. But I wasn't sure with myself, but I see people like, I mean, immigration attorney post online. They were mentioned about the fairly make decision between EB1A and EB2 NIW lately. I observed that, but I don't know what caused that issue, you know? So that's why
It's
I aware.
yeah, it's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at it is for for NIW, I think it's like it's how has how has what you do um, provided evidence or what your specialty is, your ability. How can we demonstrate that that's in the national interest under the standard? Okay, so it's kind of specific, but that's really kind of a specialized thing. Whereas EB1A, I mean, it's really much more broad in terms of how you can. It's more broad, but the thing is that in each criterion, you need to have strong evidence.
Yes,
And
right.
so the whole thing is like we'll look at a profile and say, well, you need to, and you really only need three of the nine, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's in overall, this is for both EB1A and EB2 NIW. Um, you don't want to be hitting all of the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
You want
Right.
to have strong three or four. Your
No,
strongest
okay.
three or four criteria, you want
Mm-hmm.
those locked down and have
Mm-hmm.
strong evidence. And of those, the ones that you kind of have to have are got to have some kind of publication. It doesn't have to be, authorship of scholarly articles, but some kind of publication, some kind of recognition of your work, and then the other one is that high salary. You for
Yes.
EB1A now.
Yes.
You and probably EB2 NIW also. I would say those three are kind of the must-haves.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like we more like right now we can get like summary like if we have those kind of thing, three or four things that you're talking about, high salary recognition and public article. So we could like, get that profile to do evaluation with the law firm and see how it's possible. to do
Sure. Yeah.
EB1A or
Yeah.
EB2
And then
NIW?
even if like let's say, oh well, I don't the person says I don't have any publication right now. That's not an issue. But you want to be
You have to work
strong.
on it.
Yeah, you want to come in, with something that's strong in at
Hmm.
least two or three of the criteria, and then you build
Yes.
on.
So I have one last question before we go here. There are some of our kids we just take in last night. There are Japanese Rose Garden entrepreneur license in Thailand, also in European. I don't know which countries is
Uh,
her
is
product
that
it have
so?
yeah,
Yeah,
you can share.
yeah. So they said she get like license from very special kind like roses. I don't know. They call Morakato roses, and then
Japanese Rose.
so yeah, yeah, Japanese growth. So they do a lot in Netherlands, French, some like I think German, and then now in Thailand. So this lady, she have her base in Thailand. And she said she don't really have her name in that spot, but her product is a lot hundred, like more than 100,000, people, under her social media. So she would like to grow her business in US with EB2 and IW. And she said her product have a lot recognition in the public. They also have article in some like the Garden magazine, and she worked with some really technology to use some radiation or some stuff like that. So she would like to know if she be able to apply for this type of visa.
I, it's not giving NIW at all. And
Okay.
what I would say is, you know, look at what the administration has said are areas that are contributing to the national interest. I mean, so on the other hand, I would seriously look at EB1A if the person has do they have bachelor's and 5 years of experience or a
Yeah,
master's?
yeah. She have her bachelor actually.
Hmm.
Oh, maybe we take a look the profile first and then we see how it's go from there because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
usually see the resume or everything first and then we
yeah,
can we can see her experience and her license, what kind of license that she have, if that's specialized or anything like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just always keep in mind for NIW again, it isn't just something that is commercially
Mm,
viable or commercially it has promise. It has to be something that
right.
would promote the national interest.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
She told me that there's those kind of roses. I don't really know about it,
Yeah,
species
I
of the
Yeah.
roses.
mean,
She said that's really premium roses, like from the rose garden from
Are
Japan.
they held with other roles? It's kind of like therapy roles or it just like on the
Yeah, she
commercial
said
market?
it's not only for the commercial market. She said they do more like scientists from that kind of roses. So it's kind of like, give me like a
yeah,
Yeah.
wow. I don't know what is that.
yeah. No, it's very interesting.
Right. It's
But
not it's not
I
just
would I
roses.
would point you to what happened to the Rose Garden at the White House.
Yes, yes, yes. That's so interesting. That
Yes.
is kind of this is kind that's actually to
Yeah,
make my day.
they
Yeah.
don't like roses in DC at that place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And before we go, I'm gonna wrap up a little bit. So what is your advice when someone like just starting thinking about EB1A and EB2 and IW? What they should have on hand, at least like, research, publication or anything. And, I can tell my mom I like, really talented immigrant, but I don't know what people think about me or what USCA is gonna think about my profile. Do you have anything to give some people some advice that when they start thinking about EB1A or EB2 and IW?
Yeah, I would hit those major aspects that we were talking about. Start start getting involved in your field so that you can show recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going to help with publications. This is going to help with reference to your work in media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so this, having exposure, I guess that's the thing. It's hard for students, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because you're busy, you're studying, you're focused on that. But maybe like in some off time, look at your schooling as profile building partly.
Yes.
So take a look, reach out to us. I do generally kind of tell people, talking to an attorney is not the first thing you need to do. I would not like shop around to try to find somebody who says that you have a good case. I mean, you'll know whether you have a good case or not. And then I would just find the attorney that you like and work with them.
Yes. So, and now the last question for people who are in the US with PhD, start early year PhD or master degree. Do you have any idea like can so we can tell people how important the timing is? For example, filing before changing a job, like some people on H1B, and they still
Oh,
have, yeah,
uh,
because right now we see a lot of H1B termination, so that's why I'm asking this question as well.
yeah, and that's a very difficult situation. And it's like more than we could cover
Yeah.
in this. But I think people do know when you have an approved I-140 and you're in H-1B status, and that's when you get a case approved, EB1A or EB2 NIW, you can then extend your H-1B on an annual basis. So when you come to the end of your total of 6 years, you can then renew that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's something to keep in mind. I guess the idea would be like get your case together and get it in as soon as you think it's ready, because
Yes.
that's what's going to buy you the most time.
Yes, but thank you so much for spend your time joining our webinar today. We would like to have you again next time. I
Oh,
really
thank
love to
you.
watch.
Yeah.
I really love to watch your TikTok channel. That's why I don't do presentation today because I know that people want your expertise experience about EB1A and EB2 and NIW more than my presentation for sure. So that's why I feel like, okay, I will share immigration attorney Kevin TikTok here. He posts every day on TikTok, have his team help with his TikTok channel. So we've been update immigration policy here and there all the time. But Kevin have his own TikTok channel, which is I recommend everyone here should follow. But thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any question, feel free to text us or consult with us, make appointment with us so we can reach out your case to alternate Kevin to do the assessment for your case again in the future. But thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you again next webinar.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Okay, thank you,
everyone.
Kevin. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, have a great day. Bye.